Hey everyone, and welcome to the HR Vision podcast. I'm your host, Ivo, and every week I'm going to have a conversation that matters about HR. In the second episode, I have with me Bert Stegeman. Welcome, Bert. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Everything okay? And how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. So welcome. Bert is the co-owner of FourVision, the company that features this podcast and where I personally work as a content manager. So full disclosure here, we're going to talk about HR, of course. But first, let's start with an introduction about our guest today, about Bert. So maybe you can give us an introduction about you and your professional background, Bert. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ivo. Well, personally, married, 3 children. The first one finally got a job. Well, finally just graduated. Awesome. 25 years old, and the other 2 are having their bachelor this summer. And after their graduation, well, they do some extra work and then also go outside. We live together, so no children at home anymore. So this new part of our life. And I live in Arnhem. It's compared to who you talk with, a city on the east side of the Netherlands. But from Americans, it's 1 hour drive from Amsterdam. So technically, I live in the Amsterdam area.
Exactly. Yeah.
I worked for different types of companies, and that's some of them in the HR business, some of them in the financial business, but always in the software and that. So when I start working, I thought IT is not my cup of tea, but it was never ever something different than only IT companies on that. In the Netherlands, internationally, was also a global sales manager for a larger team for EMEA, and on a certain moment in time, I took over a company and that founded and called it FourVision. That was in 2003.
Awesome. Okay.
I can tell you much more, but this is a little bit more the background.
In a nutshell. Okay, yeah. So always related to IT. And my question after that is like HR. When HR came to play, did you ever have, an interest about the area itself, IT in HR technology? Did he found you or did you find it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's well, my second job was already a company active in HR solutions in the Netherlands. So that caught my attention. The types of persons in the HR department, they differs compared to the rest of the organization. It's a difficult type of job because with one foot they are representing the employer and the other foot they're representing the employee. So they are always in a kind of a split. And what I found out that the automation level of an HR department is not that high. Mostly, and you see a lot of women works in the HR department and they're not directly IT oriented. Mm-hmm. So when you come in there and you can help them to make their business lives easier, you see how they like it because they finally someone who's looking after them. Most of the time they've been forgotten. That's the reason why HR has a soft spot for me.
Okay, it's about helping actually the humans in HR because they're helping other humans, something like that.
Yeah, and what you also seen is that the role of an employee is becoming more central in organization. Well, if you look at nowadays, and we all see with the pandemic what it will do with an employee on its own, and how you can get an employee linked to your organization, but the employee itself becoming more the center of an organization. And let's say 10, well, maybe even 20 years ago, it was just someone who's come and joined and leaving the organization, and who cares if it's certainly on manufacturing side. But nowadays, this It's much more caring about the asset of your organization, the employee.
Yeah, I believe it grew that sense that that employees are actually an investment and a big part of the company's success.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next question that I have for you is basically about FourVision, right? So what was the process that led to the creation of the company? Were you already finding something, or trying to find something for yourself? You wanted to initiate a company? It came by chance? How did it happen?
It's an end situation.
Okay.
It's because there's not a big master plan behind it on that, but by chance, I had the opportunity, or I saw the opportunity to take over a company which was actually bankrupt. But that company was at that time delivering HR solutions under the name of Microsoft, or products from Microsoft. Microsoft sold it very quickly. But then I got involved in, at that time, the product named Dynamics AX, which is an ERP solution, which also has an HR solution or an HR module. And I saw what happened a lot with these international solutions looking at the Netherlands at that time. It was missing a lot. Generic, it was missing a lot of essential functionality on that. And looking at that, and had the HR department in the back of my mind, so well, we can do that much better on that. So our mission is to improve the business life of the HR department and employees and managers. So that was the basic idea of, hey, how can we do that better? So we bumped into AX, and we start with the first implementations, but also at the same time, because the product allowed to, we were extending the functionality there more aligned to the end customers on that. And that was the start of the company with Peter. We found each other. We knew each other a longer time, but since 2008, we were doing this together from scratch. That means at the level of the server was at the attic. And we were working both from home, and we had a very small office on there. But we had some basic principles on that. So first of all, the functionality was already pretty wide on that. We also started to try educating all the other ones who are delivering the Microsoft solutions, including Microsoft itself, what HR is and can do. And the other hand is looking at what is essential or necessary to help the HR department on that. So we also made some principles like, all right, it can be extended, the solutions, specifics for HR, absolutely necessary. So let's make a product out of it so we can deliver it globally. So we already had the dot on horizon, becoming a global organization. That's one. And secondly, is that we had some principles like, all right, let's not become a developer and let's do development outside our own organization or department, let's call it that way. So we are forced to write things down. Why is it the change and how does it look like on that? And some other principles were, anything we make money, it's not going to the family of Peter or Bert, but we invest in the company on that. And that's the reason and the way we followed or the journey to extend the organization. So every time we had a new customer on board, we invest immediately in new staff on that, knowing that Microsoft is was the flagship of Microsoft, now known under the name Dynamics 365. And it's not only about HR. There are much more other functionality on board, which is also directly affecting you, or you need to have that kind of knowledge on board to continue on that. So that's although the focus was only on HR, even then we need to have other skills and other knowledge on board to support and serve all our customers.
Of course, very interesting. Yeah. Now about the Microsoft connection. Did you guys? You were working with Microsoft products, I believe. I had this conversation with Peter before. Did you guys ever looked into other solutions and extend functionalities or from any other solution, or Microsoft was the way to go from the start because you were already working with AX like you said, that's that tool from Microsoft, so you basically didn't look at any other solution and you just invested full on Microsoft?
Yeah, it's again an end-to-end situation. Yes, we looked at other solutions. Yes, within Microsoft, you had multiple flavors. Shall we also do something within, at that time, Navision, now calling Business Central? We had requests from other end customers, partners. Please extend it like the way you did for AX. But we also learned from the Americans, focus, focus, focus. So we made a decision. We hear the request from other environments. No, we only focus on AX, assuming that this will be for Microsoft the solution for the future. Known now as Dynamics 65 and finance operations, etc. So that was the basic idea of the HR module. Microsoft Netherlands was never inside for us. It was always the development team in Seattle or Bellevue, where they were based, and Fargo. So we focus much more on that team and get aligned with them. So the first time we saw them on an exhibition, so we were the only thing. What our goal was, who are the persons behind the product over there?
Yeah.
And we were. And finally, we found them, and one of them is now working for us, Darren Kramer. But it was a group which were dedicated, focused on HR teams. So we were actually soulmates. So every time when we saw each other, so it was 1-2 times a year, we had our top 10 of nasty questions. Why is this? How is that? Who designed this? Why? And do you know in real life that it doesn't work? Or how can we improve it? So every time we asked them for time, we always got the time, and they took the time for us, because we were those crazy ones who were one of the few in the world who were focusing on HR. The rest was always focusing on finance or logistics and
CRM. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And HR was, I always call it the last wagon on the train. We were all together in the last wagon of the train, even the people from Microsoft, because they had the same position inside too.
Very interesting. Okay, so I think we got that. So now, regarding FourVision, how's the business going? And most importantly, I think, what are you most proud of for all these years since you and Peter started the company?
First of all, we don't look back that much. Sometimes Peter myself are more, I always call ourselves a Lennon and McCartney. So we keep each other sharp, but also that maybe I'm more an emotional person in the sense of, well, now we need to stop and celebrate or look back. And if you look back and say, it was a long journey, but we still have our same goal for the dot, as I mentioned, the dot on the horizon on that.
Focus, you said before.
Yes, indeed. And it's always what we call the invisible competition we don't know somewhere. So someone is chasing us, but it's actually us who's spinning on the wheel on that. But coming back on most proud is, I always said, well, FourVision is HR. If everybody knows that and understands that, then I'm very happy with that. And that's now more and more becoming more clear from Australia and New Zealand. When I receive a phone call from a Microsoft person or a partner or an end customer saying, hey, I was referred by person A, B, or C that you are the specialist for HR. That really makes us proud, because that's what we try to do. We try to give an answer on all the questions we got. sometimes resulting in products, sometimes in helping them just to the next step. That's a big achievement on that. But we're not even halfway on that. If you look at nowadays, it's the number of organizations who coming to us for extra help or invite us for in a just selection procedure or as part of the Dynamics 365 platform where we help the Microsoft sales team to win against the competition. Well, that was the kind of achievement we want to reach and was focusing on.
Very good answer. Now
one thing
please go ahead. Yes,
because it's not Peter and Bert, it's about the staff who they do it. So that's we can say, well, it's not about us, two of us. It's about as a company what we achieve. So if things are going well, it's a company effort. If things are not going well, can be approved. That's from a company side. But then we take the blame because we're the first ones who determine direction. But it's always the group, the team, who's make the achievements on that. So that's important to tell you that.
It's a very, very well said. So the last couple of questions before asking you about plans for the future, the vision, and where do you see it's going? I would like to have your vision on HR technology. You know how, of course, you are in this business for a lot of years now. You've seen a lot of things. Where do you see it's going? How do you see its importance? Because I myself see a lot of things changing. This pandemic is changing things, making people working at home, making software tools and connection more important and automation more important now because people are not close to each other in this couple of years. So what is your vision on that?
Yes, it's the pandemic is maybe an accelerator in how we work together on that. So let software or let IT support your work, your day-to-day work, and that's one thing we try to achieve. And secondly is make sure that how do we say that, to avoid mistakes or turn it the other around. So make sure that you do the right thing on that. So if you're new on board, make sure that people feel welcome and let IT support that process. So you as an individual can focusing on that new employee on that and underlaying that employee or the new employee, the newbie needs to learn a couple of things or needs to be informed a couple of things. So let the system do that for you. So you can only focus on, hey, how are you doing? And have a one-on-one conversation and keep one-on-one aligned with that person on that. So IT can support even much more than your day-to-day work as it is right now. And maybe that's already the step to the next thing in that if you do something, for example, you want to hire someone, and there's a whole world behind it. So first of all, do you have an approval for that? Do we have the job, or do we need the job description? Do we need to create a position for that, to put a person on that? But also the recruitment solution, what you're using, could be anything, should be informed or updated on that. But also all kind of websites where you are promoting. Indeed. So at the end, there's always that happy person who's allowed to work for you. So this coming in, but then you have to roll back actually anything what's outside there. So that's all the tracks and traces behind you, what you've done or initiated, should be rolled back, or it's not relevant anymore because you already have that person on it. So without thinking that system should do these things automatically on that. So because you do think this, you make this step or that activity, automatically the system works for you and say, okay, if you do this, then probably you also need to do that to make sure that it's all aligned on that. So there's so much more to win that the system can think for you instead of, oh, I need to follow in my checklist. So you have to think about what should I put on a checklist, and then tick all the boxes, and then you have to send an email to that person, call that person, etc. But even that system works for you, and that's the next step, the next thing what we foresee on that to make your life again, and that vision and mission is still the same, to make your business life easier on that.
Yeah. So it's basically having the system think for you, so you can focus on what's most important, which is creating that relationship with the new employee, or with the employee within their life within the company. So the system will automate the tasks and basically think for you. So that's the most important thing.
Indeed, and will come with suggestions on that without becoming annoyed, because nothing is annoyed that if you buy something and you go to Facebook and you see an ad, hey, I saw you just bought a pillow. I've got great pillows here. No, I don't want to see those pillows because I just bought a pillow. So, so that's not what you want in your system. So if you hire someone with certain skills, then you want to have a recommendation of the skills based on that person and nothing else. So the moment you have filled in that recommendation, or you have made your own choices on that, the person has that certain level, you don't want to have this kind of, messages again. And that maybe it's more like, hey, that person works now a year, is still not moving at all. What do you think? Or shall we inform the person? Or shall we have a meeting with the manager? That kind of the system thinking for you. And that if you can configure that in a way that it's not becoming an annoyed system, that I know that, but I don't have time, or maybe that's a time saver for you.
Absolutely. Okay, so last question. I don't think you will retire anytime soon, I guess. So what are the plans for the future? Keeping that focus and improving the solutions. What do you see for coming?
Yeah, it will be HR. It will be more on automation of HR, but also on, and that's what we started it already a couple of years ago. It's very focused on what we call the happy customer. So anyone who we're working with should be, sometimes it's the system can be your limitation on that, but we are also here and able to expand it on that. But make sure that the customer is a happy customer, and happy is a very wide word you can use on that. But that should be in the mindset of everyone, that if a customer is responding, things are not going well, can be approved. So pick it up and step in there. I always say embrace any comment on that. And that will be the main focus on that, because we will grow. We are hiring. We will emphasize on implementations on that. On some ways, we try to automate it, but on the other hand, it needs to have the human touch, because we are with human software. Yeah. So you need to interact and get aligned with individuals on that, and make sure they are aligned on that, and not see them as just a subject who's using your solutions on that. We are very proud of what we are creating, and we hopefully that our customers are using that and that. And if it's a Microsoft organization, if it's a partner, or it's an end customer, we all see them as happy customers to make them a very positive, optimistic organization who likes to work with us.
Awesome. All right, that's all from my side. There's any final notes something that you'd like to mention that you're thinking of?
Not for now. It's well, with the pandemic, it was a challenge. Personally, we never had any setback. But do not forget your staff. Give them all the attention they deserve. I know it's hard. Personally, it's how many time you have in a week. And even if you want to speak everyone, it's physically sometimes not even possible. But do not forget to think about your own assets, your own employees on that. And that's important. Even now we got vaccines, but still they need to have attention.
Great message to end this. I think it's a great note to end. Bert, thank you so much for your time. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. And see you
soon.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye-bye.